of our party, serving as the youngest state party chair in this country, believing in people in this state, talking to folks across this country, doing things differently. Friends, I'm humbled by the opportunity to introduce our chair and my friend, Anderson D. Clayton.
How y'all doing, Burt County? Woo! That wasn't loud enough. How you doing, Burt County? Woo! Okay. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. My name is Anderson Clayton, and I have the honor and the privilege of serving as the state party chair for the North Carolina Democratic Party. I got elected back in February, and Dorian is right. We are the youngest state party chair in the country, and I always like to joke with folks that, of course, it had to come from the South, y'all. Because the South is a progressive beacon in this country, and whether or not folks choose to realize it all the time, and whether or not we realize it all the time, right, or can see it all the time in this state, we are, and we always have been. When Jim Hunt and Terry Sanford and the Democrats that came before us got together and said, we're going to create an education system that is unmatched by any other in the country, in the entire United States, and said we're going to create the UNC system because we know that education is the great equalizer in this country. It's what progresses people forward, right? My mom and dad, I grew up in Person County, North Carolina, so it's, for those of you that aren't geographically familiar with it, it's about an hour north of Raleigh. It's near the Danville, Virginia border. And my mom grew up in Person County. My dad grew up right over the line in Orange County, in Hillsborough, kind of, but back when it was rural. He grew up on a tobacco farm there, and grew up decided that he wanted to go to NC State and major in manufacturing. And so I got to grow up with parents that really valued and knew the value of hard work from growing up in a rural place, because they always did it. My dad used to joke with me that every time he would wake up, he would go out in the tobacco field, he would do what he needed to do, and then he'd go to school and he'd come home and he'd do it again. And that's all he knew, is how to work, and how to work really hard. And I joke with folks that when you're raised by somebody that grew up on a tobacco farm in North Carolina, you also grow up knowing how to work pretty damn hard, to be honest with you. I grew up thinking that the values that I had living in rural North Carolina were really important, but I also grew up knowing that I wanted to leave rural North Carolina, honestly. I think a lot of young folks grow up in places that look like that all across North Carolina right now and say, we can't stay here. We can grow up here, but we can't stay here because we can't find a job, we can't figure out how to actually survive and grow a family or grow our opportunities in this part of the state, right? And that's something that really bothered me. And I didn't know how much it bothered me until I started going out after I graduated from Appalachian State working on national campaigns. I went to work for Kamala Harris's campaign back when she was running for president against Joe Biden, to be honest with y'all, because I believe I want a woman in the White House one of these days. I still believe that. We're going to put one up there one day. But I got the chance to go out to Iowa and work for her. I worked for Amy McGrath's campaign when she was trying to knock out Mitch McConnell in Kentucky in 2020. And to be honest with y'all, I got really disillusioned with national politics after 2020. Because I realized that the National Democratic Party doesn't see places that look like where I was from as places of opportunity and places that were worth investing in. And that bothered me, because I was like, but I lived here, and I grew up here. And there are people like me that still live in places that look like Roxborough, North Carolina right now, that look like Morganton, North Carolina right now. And it's important that they know that they still have a champion somewhere, and that they have a community around them that is going to protect them and believe and uplift the values that we hold dear to us. And for me, that was really important. And so I came back home after 2020, and I decided I wanted to live in Roxborough. And somebody looked at me, I was 24 when I came back, and they said, "You're 24, what are you doing here? And why?" And I told them, I said, I want to organize in my own backyard, because I know that is the place that we can make the most impact. And I don't care if I don't ever win an election as the Person County Democratic Party chair, because that is what I lucked my way into. And so, and by accident, honestly, in 2021, the Person Dems were 8 people that got on our county convention call, and I accidentally got elected because they said, "Who wants to do it?" And nobody raised their hand. And I said, "Hey, I might like that opportunity if y'all would let a little 24-year-old take that over." And they did. And it was one of the most amazing opportunities that I got to come back and really revive a Democratic Party, because I had been all over the country at that point in time, and I had seen that Democrats in rural communities were just honestly afraid. They were afraid of saying that they were Democrats. They were afraid of coming out and saying for their jobs. You know, in Eastern Kentucky where I was working, there were folks that said, I get fired for saying that out loud right now. You know, it ain't all good out here in these parts at this moment in time. You are a Democrat. And people know that about you, because we live in a small town, right? What do small towns do? They talk about each other. And I told somebody, I said, you know, I don't care if I've got to be the loudest one out here and I'm not from here, I'm going to do it so I let other people know it's okay to. Because that's what we're going to have to do in this election cycle, is let folks know it's okay to be a Democrat. Amen. You don't have to shy away from it. Actually, you should be damn proud of it, in my personal opinion right now. Because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are doing things for us, y'all. They are. And whether or not people can feel that directly right now, that's our real problem, right? Folks don't feel like Democrats or government in general is working for them right now. And that's because Raleigh ain't, to be honest with y'all. And the areas that we feel the most impact from are at that local level, right? And we've gotten away from seeing and from emphasizing our political power at this state level and understanding that a vote in Morganton is just as good statewide as a vote in Raleigh, y'all, or anywhere out of Mecklenburg County, right? And that's what we're looking at. We've got to get out every single person to vote this year, because everybody is somebody worth talking to. And I joked with folks, I said, you know, my dad back in 2016 voted for Donald Trump. And it was a hard conversation when I went home that Thanksgiving after I had been a fellow for Hillary Clinton's campaign, and I tried to get, you know, I was working really hard for it and everything. And he looked at me, and my mom works in healthcare. My sister's a 7th grade science teacher. I looked at him and I said, you got 3 women that surround you right now. How on earth could you have been that stupid? Honestly, truly. And you know, it took, to be honest, 4 years of working on my dad, me, my mom, my sister, talking to him, because we cared about him, because we loved him. And I told folks, I said, you can't organize folks that you don't love right now. And I know that we all got family members that we've stopped talking to because they probably did vote for Donald Trump at one point in time. And some folks in this room are going, Anderson, I ain't got no family members that did that. Lucky. You're lucky. Okay? You're lucky. Because some of us did. And we need to talk to the people in our lives that only we can talk to about why that's not something they should do again. Because they're smarter than that this time. Donald Trump fooled a lot of people that look like and are existing in places that look like rural North Carolina right now. And my dad was one of them. My dad lost his job in 2007. He used to work in Hickory, North Carolina at Jones Fabric. And he loved manufacturing. He went from working on a tobacco farm like I was talking about earlier to working in a weave room, and he loved it. Loved making things with his hands, right? Because that's what North Carolina was known for at one point in time throughout rural North Carolina, is the fact that we did that and we're proud of it. And he felt so resentful after he lost that job, and he blamed Democrats. And he didn't realize he's blaming the wrong people for it, because those folks never told him that he was blaming the wrong people. We never got out in rural North Carolina and talked about what Democrats, what the vision was for reviving rural economies. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris right now are giving us that message with the money that they brought from the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the American Rescue Plan Act. Every community across North Carolina got direct investment. And that was the first time that had happened in history. Because you know what, the federal government decided, they said, we're not going to give this money just to states. We're going to let the city council in Morganton decide what they want to do with this money. Because the people of Morganton know what they should do with it more than the people in Raleigh do right now, right? And that's a powerful thing. Because we do know what's best for our own communities. And Raleigh is trying to sit there and tell us what's best for us. And we're not going to let them in 2024 do that anymore to us, y'all. Right? Every single state house and Senate district in this state, because we know that Republicans shouldn't just get to walk themselves into our state capitol every year. We know that. And we know that we're a party that believes in democracy. And if we do, democracy isn't democracy without choices on a ballot. So you need to ask yourselves right now, are you writing a check or are you running for office? And if you're writing the check, the Burke County Dems, Janae, will be happy to take it afterwards, I'm sure. So make sure you're emptying your pockets out, everybody, too, tonight, if y'all don't mind. Make sure you're donating to the Burke Dems. We need to support everybody at the local level especially. But I tell people that because I say, people often look at me and they're like, Anderson, well, how are you going to get these folks to run for office? And honestly, it's not been hard. All you had to do was say one thing. We left 44 seats uncontested last cycle. We left 44 seats, the most we've ever left in state history, uncontested. Now, why on earth did that happen? One thing, Republicans are redrawing those maps at the very last minute, right? They didn't give us a lot of time to make it and figure it out, but we know better this time. We're more prepared this time. And we're going to make sure we've got somebody to run in every single one of those seats that Republicans can't take money out of one district and plop it into another. When I ran for state party chair, I joked with folks, I said, I'd never raised millions of dollars before, and I didn't really know how I was going to. But I told them, I said, I'm going to tell y'all how I can save y'all money versus telling y'all how we're going to raise it. And I said, we're going to make sure we got everybody to run in one of these districts because we know that makes Republicans spend money in places that they always needed to. We're going to make Republicans run for office. That's something they always should have to do. They shouldn't be able to slide into home plate with that, y'all. I'm from a place, and I tell people often, when I became the Person County Dems chair, I said, I don't care if I don't ever win an election. It's about putting up a fight. It always is. And the reason why that North Carolina doesn't look like Florida right now, doesn't look like Tennessee right now, is because the Democratic Party and everybody in this room has always put up a fight, y'all. We have. We've been under Republican oppression in North Carolina for 13 years. They've been trying to underfund us, undercut us, and do everything that they can to tear us apart. The Republican Party has. And we haven't let them yet. But we're getting close. And 2024 is going to be a big defining year for this party. But I'm telling y'all, we're going to work as hard as we possibly can across all 100 counties to let them know what Democrats are standing for and standing up to in this election cycle, which is Republican extremism, which is racism, which is fascism, which is everything that we stand against as a party in this state, y'all, and in this country. When folks up here earlier talking about democracy, we believe that every vote should count. And a Republican insurrection just try to tell us that it shouldn't, right? They're threatening us. And we're about to say, hell to the no. Y'all ain't doing that in North Carolina. You don't get to. Sherry Beasley should be a United States Senator from North Carolina right now. Justice Judy Ervin should still be on the Supreme Court right now. We should still have people all across eastern North Carolina that are elected as Democrats right now. We should still have seats in our city councils and our county commissions right now. And that's what this party is here to do over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the long game that we have to take back our state. Because it doesn't stop in 2024, it starts. And we're going to keep going until we have a North Carolina that people can believe in again, that is better for us again, and that respects the people of our state again, y'all. So I hope that every single one of you here tonight digs in deep, finds that energy, and gets out and decides, I'm going to knock doors this year, I'm going to raise money this year, I'm going to make phone calls this year, I'm going to talk to my church this year, my book club this year, the Rotary Club this year. I mean, everybody this year about why voting is so important and why we cannot let Republican extremism strangle our state anymore, y'all. That's what we're going to do this year. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm on a wind up here. But look, I just want to say, thank you all so much for being here tonight. I tell folks often, you could be anywhere else, and after the last 3 years of the pandemic that we have been through, it's hard, and time is finite. And you're choosing to spend your Saturday with this party and giving that to us, and I value that so much. Thank you for it. And I'm going to work my ass off this year and next year to make sure that your time is valuable and that you feel valued as a member of the Democratic Party, because I want every single one of you to feel like you can have a party that you're proud of. That's what I want here in this state. So thank you all so much, Burke County, for everything y'all do.